Hi, I'm Miriam Kate. It's day 3 of the ARC conference. Over 4,000 people here from across the globe, nearly 100 countries represented. And I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by someone who's really become one of the stars of ARC, Katherine Birbalsingh. I think she's been mentioned for the platform more times than probably anybody else in Britain. Slightly, not quite as many mentions as Donald Trump, but you know, you've got to start somewhere, Katherine. Of course, Katherine is the principal of Michaela School, one of the most successful schools in the UK. Thank you for joining me, Katherine. Now, we've just had a keynote speech from a man called Ian Rowe, who leads an academy in New York, actually, but it's run on very similar principles to Michaela, and in fact, he sang your praises. And he was talking about how important it is to not tell children they're victims, but to give them agency and a kind of moral formation at school. Do you recognise that in your practice at Michaela?
Yes, no, absolutely. And I've been working with Ian in his school in the Bronx and obviously at Michaela. Both of us very much believe in the idea that children should take personal responsibility for what they do. Nowadays, there's very much this victim narrative, in particular for brown and black kids in the inner cities, that the world is racist. There should be a culture of grievance. You need to see yourself as a victim and everyone's against you. Now, my position is, you're going to have all kinds of obstacles in front of you. Whatever your race, whatever your religion, there will be obstacles. You cannot see those obstacles as something to block you. Obstacles are what make life challenging and interesting. That's why we live, so that we can gain the skills and the knowledge to be able to jump those obstacles and at the end look back and think, look, I did that. And the only way you can do that is if you believe that you have agency and that you are the master of your own fate. You know, we recite Invictus at school, and Ian does it in his school in Vertex as well. And a number of schools actually have copied us on this idea because you're the master of your fate, you're the captain of your soul. And those are the last 2 lines of the poem. You can do it. And you can do it with a great school, you know? And I'm very keen on trying to get the principals of Michaela far and wide across the country. We have over 800 visitors that come to us, see us every year, and mainly teachers, and these ideas do spread. What are the ideas? A traditional education where the teacher is leading the learning from the front of the classroom and your desks are in rows. Discipline, you know, I'm known as the strictest headmistress, and discipline, we need kids to behave, otherwise they can't hear what the teacher's saying. It's a pretty basic thing. And then the values. And our values, I say, are small c conservative values. Teaching the children kindness and gratitude for however little they have. They always have more than somebody else. A sense of duty towards others. The idea of sacrifice. Sometimes you sacrifice what is important to you for the betterment of the whole. And very much belonging to your country. We have a British flag that flies outside. All of us, whatever race or religion we are British together, living underneath those small c conservative values that we share, where we can share our common humanity.
Some of those principles would have seemed unremarkable just 2 generations ago.
That's
the
right.
idea of strong discipline, the teacher having authority, being patriotic, learning the virtues rather than what you can gain from education personally. How have we lost those self-evident truths?
I know, it's unbelievable. When I was growing up, that was normal.
Yeah.
It was just normal. It didn't matter everybody working hard, being kind. It mattered what kind of person you were. And then now it's all, you do you. Me, me, me. You know, it's wrong. If that's how you live your life, you're not going to find meaning. People are going to have loads of midlife crises later on. All the self-help books, they say, write down 5 things you're grateful for at the end of the evening. You know, the self-help books are there because people didn't go to a school like Michaela. You know? Because once you've instilled those values in children, they stay with them forever. And it's how you live a life of dignity. It's how you live a life of meaning. And that's what matters. You'll never see me give assembly and say to everybody, get your GCSEs so you can get a great job in the city and become rich. You'll never hear me say that, because that's not the point of life. The point of life is to give back to your community, to make the world a better place. And you can only make the world a better place as if you are trying to be a better version of yourself today than you were yesterday.
I mean, education is so important. Some of the focus here at ARC has been on things like rebuilding the family, the role of religion and civic society in children's upbringing.
Yeah.
But why is education a crucial part of those pillars of raising the next generation?
Well, I'm sure your viewers will all be familiar with the you can be a great family structure and strong at home. But if the school isn't singing from the same hymn sheet, it can be very destructive, because the school is where your children meet their peers. There's huge influence from the teachers and the peers and the environment in which they're in all day. Often they spend more time at school than they do at home. So what breaks my heart for a number of families is them trying to find a school that has a more traditional outlook. And I understand that we want a variety of different schools out there. Great. I want everyone, the progressives, they want their progressive schools. That's fine. But I do think there need to be some more traditional schools, because I know that ordinary families out there, lots of them want a traditional education and they just can't find it.
And what you've proven is that even for children that don't have the advantages of a stable home life or even enough in terms of economic prosperity, school can make the difference. It is a powerful enough force to bring them out of that.
Absolutely. That is absolutely right. The fact is that we also have so many children where the families are perhaps not as engaged with education as you'd like. They don't know about, well, things that perhaps more middle-class families might know. And they need the support of the school. And frankly, I mean, what do they know about GCSE physics? Yes. I mean, we're depending on our schools and our teachers. That's it. And the thing is, you want your teachers to know about GCSE physics, but you also want your teachers not to be undermining the traditional values that you have in the home, and not to be convincing kids that they are the victims and that the rich people are the evil ones who are oppressing them, or the white people are the ones...
Or their own country.
Indeed, to hate their country. If you don't love your country, that doesn't mean that you're not critical. If you love your country, I'm hugely critical of education in Britain, but I am British and I love my country. That is how we all need to be thinking. We love our country precisely so that we can be critical and we can engage with these ideas. And if we don't love our country, and if we are not British together, whatever our race, whatever our religion, then, well, we then have a fractured country, don't we? And which is we've seen a lot of more recently, and we need to fix that. And the way we fix that, I think, is through our schools.
Now, one of the other debates that you've been really leading on is the role of smartphones and social media in young people's lives and the damage that it can do. And I know your school is absolutely phone-free. But there is also a lot of talk at this conference about the importance of free speech, and I know you and I both agree on that. But how do we come to terms with this difference between, yes, as adults we need free speech, we need a free exchange of ideas, that's fundamental to democracy, but at the same time we need to protect our children from influences that aren't conducive to a good childhood?
Well, the first thing we need to understand is that children are not adults. Children need their freedom restricting so that they can be truly free later. Yes. Okay? We have this idea that we want to be free, so kids should be free. Well, you don't say to your toddler when you walk out of the house, "Go on, darling, you make it your way across the street. Go on, darling, drive the car for me." You don't do that. You don't say, "Here's a bottle of alcohol, go ahead." We protect our children because that's our duty as adults. We don't just protect them, we also train them and school them and teach them the habits that will make them successful later on in life. In order to do that, we have to restrict their freedom. And that's a good thing. That's what it is to be a responsible adult. It's to restrict their freedom and nurture them and slowly pull those freedoms away so that when they're 18, you can then say, "Fly, little birdie," and off they go.
And they've got the virtues to be able to handle those things that can be good or harmful depending on how you use them.
Exactly. In fact, in my talk last night at dinner here at ARC, it was about showing courage, and how those of us on the panel were having to say, "Well, I've been in difficult situations, how have I shown courage?" And I said, well, you know what, I was thinking about this and I realized everybody always tells you to think first and act later. In fact, I do it the other way around. I act and then I think about it later, and then the consequences happen and I think, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that.
But it's too late then.
Well, and what's important though is that when I act without thinking, I'm compelled to act in a certain way because I believe it's right. And the action is grounded in a certain set of iron values that are in me, and they're not going to move, right? And so I feel secure in that decision that I'm making, because I say, no, that's wrong. I got to speak out against this. And then later I think, oh my goodness, maybe I shouldn't have spoken out. But the fact is that those actions are grounded in well-rooted values. And that is what we need to give all of our children.
It's a little bit like, have you ever abseiled or jumped down one of those vertical slides? You know you've got to do it. You know it's the right thing. The best thing to do is just do it before you've had time to think about it and have second thoughts. That's a very good principle, Katherine. I love it. Well, as ever, it's an absolute pleasure to speak to you. Thanks so much for joining me. I wish you every success, and I'm sure, I don't know how many more times your name is going to be mentioned from the podium, but hopefully many more. That's Katherine Birbalsingh, who, of course, is the principal of Michaela School. I'm Miriam Cates. Many more interviews to come here on GBNews at the ARC conference in London.